Today we've got a story tied to Supernatural, and boy does it stink.
Is it the end of the road for Supernatural? Could be.
Joss Whedon said he wouldn't shoehorn a cameo into the new Avengers movie. He might be a liar, but I forgive him anyway.
And Nigel checks in with the multiverse news. We also have an awesome interview. You can hear Mike squeal like a schoolgirl. All that's on today's edition of Slice.
Covering all the news from every dark corner of the universe.
Warning. Effects of time shifting may occur.
This is Dr. Michio Kaku.
I'm Peter Mayhew.
This is Trisha Helfer, number 6 from Battlestar Galactica.
Hi, this is Colin Ferguson with Sci-Fi Channel's Eureka, and you're listening to Slice of Sci-Fi.
SliceofSciFi.com.
We've got a jam-packed, action-filled show for you. No, well, it's not so action-filled, but I'm Michael Armenegay.
I'm Brian Brown.
I'm Megan Zier.
And I am Tim Adamick.
I guess it could be action-packed.
It's crammed full of Avengery goodness. Is
Avengers
what it is.
Indeed it is.
Let's bring it on down, Mike. Or break it on down.
Breaking it down. Breaking it down.
The news.
Wow.
I need a little bit more of a break there.
Yeah.
Kind of have to fill a little bit.
Is that
there.
what it is? Okay.
Yes,
So
I have to.
I should have
change
popped
things.
and locked. And
That's
you did a little
right.
bit-
Anyway.
So a couple weeks ago, we reported the upcoming Avengers movie could feature not one, but two villains, with rumors swirling that the Red Skull might reappear.
That is cool.
I hope that does so. Now, last week, Marvel Studios head Kevin Feige stirred up even more, telling Empire magazine that having the skull appear in the modern times might be interesting.
Okay.
You think?
Okay, but all the speculation about the Red Skull appearing is now being overshadowed by the possibility that everyone's favorite web slinger could be in the film.
Ooh.
That's gratuitous, though.
It is, totally and completely. But you know what? Manny's happy right now when you're talking about this. So, now, according to Logan Run star Jenny Agutter, she was stationed near the trailers for Iron Man and Spiderman, the upcoming film. A connection between the upcoming Avengers and Spider-Man films that had not been previously made. It remains a possibility that it was a mistake on Agatter's part in the interview, she said, but we don't know for sure.
Although, if you have the two trailers next to each other, it's very easy to just do a walk-on, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It pretty much is. So
true.
she says, I am sworn to secrecy, and she told this her role in the movie. I wasn't allowed a script until I got there. When I did, I felt like I was a complete child on big sets and huge parking lot full of Winnebagos.
Ooh. Okay.
Okie dokie. So obviously lots of people involved in this. So I don't know. Shoehorning Spidey, really?
I know. I have a problem with that, but
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, he's in the Avengers now in the comic books, but
Yeah, I'm sure they're going to, Anyways, so have you ever wanted to smell, Mike, like...
No, I've never wanted to smell.
Smell me?
No,
Really?
no. Have you ever want to smell like Thor?
Like Thor?
Or the Hulk? Or
Ooh,
Captain
musky.
America?
Doesn't Thor smell like ozone?
maybe Wonder Man.
Yeah, or how about
Wonder
even
Man.
Iron Man, for that matter?
Iron Man.
They're
Motor oil.
So there are 4 clones. Exactly. More motor oil and rust.
Motor oil and
yeah.
rust, yes.
WD-40.
Exactly, WD-40 and rust.
WD-40.
So there are 4 clones
got that.
that'll
It's out
help
the garage.
That'll help you smell just like that.
3-in-1 oil.
Cool.
They're released by Jads International. The clones aren't named after the 4 characters for the upcoming Avengers movies. Apparently, of course, the company hasn't purchased the licensing to do that. But they're based on. But the description is basically duh.
Right.
So here they are. So it's the Patriot. Yeah.
It's a missile that flies up.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
You smell like the flag.
Mark 7. Okay, for
What?
Iron Man. For Iron Man.
Mark 7.
Oh, it's the version of the suit.
Smash for the Hulk, and of all things, worthy for the Thor.
Oh, yeah.
So, okay.
Okay,
hammer.
then.
We don't have any descriptions of them, but we do have links on the Slice of Sci-Fi website. Go check it out, and they have
Is it
descriptions.
scratch and sniff? Can we send them scratch and sniff cards?
Sure, Mike. We'll get the PR department right on that.
Cool. We have an extensive one.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll put it on Facebook, Mike. They can scratch and sniff their screens.
There you go.
There you go, fans. Blame
Scratch here to
that-
smell it. Yeah.
That's Mike at
I'm
Slice of
liking,
Sci-Fi.
and it's not
Yes.
doing anything.
Yes, it's Mike at Slice of Sci-Fi, folks. So, could it not be that 2 of our Friday night genre shows might be going away this year? Now, we already know that Fringe is probably in its final season, which is kind of disappointing. I'm hoping they have one more, but don't hold your breath, kids. It appears that also
makes me sad.
Supernatural could be ready to close up shop. Now, they've really they were signed up only for 5 years, if I originally remember.
Okay.
So the fact that they've gone longer than that is pretty good. Now, producer Sarah Gamble tells EW the cast and crew haven't heard anything definitive either way, but they are hoping for the best or preparing for the worst. Now, back in August, CW President Mark Pedowitz revealed that he is keen to continue Supernatural beyond its current 7th season. It's not intended to be the last season, he said. We'll see where the ratings go. We hope to keep the show going. That says to me, if it's a cash cow, then we'll go. Otherwise, meh. So they don't really care one or the other. Yeah, so. Yeah.
Hey, it worked for the 4,400, right?
Yeah, that sounds promising.
Okay, so we got one great little story to do it before we have to trick off to multiverse. So, former Dollhouse star Deacon Lockman has joined the cast of the U.S. version of Being Human. This season is a vampire princess, Surin. Lockman says her time in Dollhouse and being around Joss Whedon has helped her foster love for roles in sci-fi vehicles because it's a wonderful place to play out ideas and opinions about the world today in a safe place.
Cool.
So she signed on for 7 of the 13 episodes of this year, and she's keeping mum about her character, what it is, and all that. But it could be that Surin sticks around past that. I'm like, that's really cool. I like her. She is not only she's very beautiful, but she's a great actress, and I think that brings an air of credibility to Being Human U.S.
Absolutely.
All right, let's go check in with Nigel.
Okay.
Hello, Slice of Sci-Fi. This is Nigel Blackwood, answering the request for some information about my clones. Like all good stories, it all started in a pub. I met this robot who claimed to be from the planet Altair 6. He was a very interesting... Wait a minute. Hello, we have breaking news on the war front. Let's take you now to clone 287, Nigel Reginald Blackwood.
Hello, this is Nigel Reginald Blackwood with an update on the war. In a surprising announcement, General George Lucas is stepping down as the head of the Warrior Empire. Many see this as a great victory, others as a great defeat. We shall report immediately on any future updates. Let's take you now back to the Multiverse News.
Thank you. For a look at some of the history of the Great Wall, let's take you to clone number 1, Nigel Walter Blackwood.
Thank you, Nigel. The war started back September 8th, 1966. The Trek Nation was unleashed upon an unsuspecting world. In one short decade, they changed the face of science fiction. But with no real competition, the Trek Nation began fighting amongst themselves. Trekkies versus Trekkers, with little or no hope for news stories. It was indeed dark times. Until May 1977, when the Warriors blasted their way onto the battlefield. Led by Darth Vader and his crew, the Warriors rose to power in record time. At the end of the 70s, the Trek Empire tried firing back, but the most they could give us was V'ger. Starting with the 80s, the Warriors struck back with such an impressive manner that everyone was left wondering what would happen next. Stepping up to the challenge, led by Khan Noonien Singh, the Trekkies fired back with their most impressive counter-strike. But the Jedi soon followed, cementing the Warrior Empire into the hearts and minds of a generation. But then the Warrior campaign stalled. They began fighting a defensive war, using the same tactics over and over again. Meanwhile, the Trekkers began to build a new empire with a new generation. And even with the loss of their leader, the Great Bird of the Galaxy, the Trek Nation grew. In May of 1999, the Warriors launched their first offensive in 20 years, led by Jar Jar Binks, perhaps one of the greatest military blunders of all time. The New Hope faded, and to this day, the Warriors and Trekkers continue to fight. While the Trek campaign tries to reinvent itself, everyone wonders what the loss of George Lucas means to the Empire. Will this bloodshed ever end? Time will only tell. That's all the time we have. Let's take you back now to the Draco Vista Studios.
My son was taken away from me.
Your son Chico?
Nemo.
Right, got it.
Somewhere beyond
by the sea, somewhere waiting for me. No more sailing.
Ooh, that's good.
And welcome to more Slice of Sci-Fi. I'm Michael R. Menengay.
And I'm Brian Brown. And folks, we've been talking about this show, Lost Girl, for a while now. Mm-hmm. And we've been touting it and shouting it to the rafters. You folks need to really watch it. Now it's on SciFi, so you have no excuse. And today we are talking with Kris Holden-Ried. Now, Kris plays one of the main characters in it, and that character is Dyson.
Mm-hmm,
welcome to the show, Kris.
Thank you very much for having me.
So let's go ahead and recap for everybody who's been under a rock and hasn't been listening to us or following the show. What is Lost Girl about?
Well, Lost Girl is the story of Bo, played by Anna Silk, who is the Lost Girl. She is, in our show, we have supernatural beings called the Fae, and Fae is basically any sort of creature from a fairy tale or supernatural background that you've ever heard of, be it werewolves, vampires, leprechauns, minotaurs, anything like that. And she is a young woman born or raised by a human family who then finds out later on in life as she reaches maturity that she has these special powers, and the way she finds out is by accidentally killing her lovers.
Yes, because she's a succubus.
She's a succubus. And so she goes into hiding, on the run, doesn't know what she is, confused, until my character, who plays a police detective in the human world, but his real job is to sort of find Fae activity, finds one of her kills, and tracks her down, and introduces her to the whole world that she didn't know existed.
Yeah, and you yourself being, your character being a Fae as well, and of course your lives become very intertwined, to put it nicely. So I have to ask you, because it always cracks me up. I went back and watched season 1 again real fast because we'd watched it a while ago, and I was like, Dyson has maybe 3 costumes throughout the whole first season, mostly out of costume. Yeah. And did that take a while for you to get used to? You're like, I'm going to be half naked or fully naked and covered up for most of my roles.
I'd had a little experience with it before, but honestly, Lost Girl took it to a whole new level. Luckily, the cast and the crew are awesome to work with, and I think the worst experience was the very first naked set that we did on the pilot, where I was literally sitting there buck naked with the entire video village. Video village is where the director, the producers, and everyone sit, right behind me in perfect eye view of my moon.
Nice.
I think that was the most uncomfortable moment for me in my acting career.
I can only imagine. And of course, you and Anna have to be, at least fairly, on good terms with one another. I'm going to be naked, you're going to be naked. We're going to be naked together a lot.
Yeah. It's you got to be friends, man. You got to trust each other. And luckily, Anna and I have a great relationship. So
yeah,
you awesome. Had no problem.
That's very cool. Yeah, because I was like, dang. And my wife was laughing. She's like, he really doesn't wear any clothes, does he? I'm like, nah, not really. But
not really.
Who cares? For you ladies out there.
It's a lot of getting your friend, getting your partner, Anna, or whoever you're working with, to cover up your bits, and you cover up their bits to sort of, return the favor.
That's it.
It's like strategic naked mining or something like that,
You're policing the parts is what it is.
Exactly.
So the one thing that I absolutely love, well, there's a lot of things I love about Lost Girl, but the one main thing that I really love about Lost Girl is that they have taken all of the supernatural pieces and put them under one banner. Instead of trying to litter this entire world with 10,000 different creatures, they just are the Fae. And it's just the different variations of the Fae. And I think that is so brilliant, and it lends to interesting story.
It absolutely does, yeah.
Yeah, and I have to ask you, as the guy playing this and trying to pull this off, does this help you, or does this make it easier for you to kind of direct this character and move this character inside of this world?
Yeah, creating a supernatural character is it's a very interesting sort of journey that you go on, you know, because it has to be bound in reality. Whatever we do as actors needs to feel real. So how do you make something that's supernatural feel real? And that is an interesting and fun sort of journey to embark on as an artist. You know, it's like it involves energy work, it involves research, animal work. It's really fun to create these characters. That's what I love about working on this show.
Yeah, and it shows through, and it shows you that everyone in the cast is very comfortable with one another, and you guys enjoy each other's company. That really shines through.
Yeah, we're very lucky. We have a great ensemble cast. All of us genuinely love each other. It's become our little second family. And one of our guest directors noticed that as well. He's like, I think one of the reasons why this show is doing so well is because all of you guys have such great chemistry with each other, and it's because we really genuinely like each other. It's important.
Yeah, and you guys really click too. And it just, you know, every little scene. I mean, just between you and of course Anna, but then you also have the character of Kenzie, which you play off a lot of as well.
Oh, Kenzie's awesome.
Yeah,
and you know even
fantastic.
Yeah, even Hale is your partner. You know, in the police station. You know, you guys do a great job of showing not only the Faye side but also the day-to-day, just kind of general stuff too.
Yeah, Casey's great. You know, he has a great comedic timing, and he's one of the nicest people you'll ever meet in your life. Every morning, whether we're starting at 5 a.m., 4:30, 6:30, he's in the trailer with a big smile, and just a pleasure to work with. And yeah, we get to sort of mix the two worlds. Him and I are like the bridge between the real world and the Fae world, and it's kind of our job to sort of ground the show in its reality.
Well, Lost Girl just started running here in the States, but it is in its second season up in...
Actually, they just finished wrapping their third season.
Third season in Canada,
yeah.
That's right. And
no, we just wrapped our second season.
Oh, did you say second season? Okay,
yes.
Second. Okay, sorry.
And,
I'm hoping for a third.
We're hoping third, yeah.
Third, we haven't picked up for a third. We're going back to camera mid-April.
Thank you.
Awesome.
That was my question.
There we go.
I know that you were wrapping for second. Are we getting a third? Fantastic. You just made my day.
April, huh? All right. Wow.
Yeah, we're getting back at it quick.
That is really quick, and that's a really positive sign. And you're up for a full slate again?
That gets decided somewhere in the middle.
Okay.
It's usually not bought right up front. So.
Okay. Well, and here's some interesting facts that I found when I was digging on Kris, because I was like, I've known some of the things you've done. You did, of course, you were in The Tudors as well, but you've done tons of different work. But here's the thing I thought was interesting, that you were a former Canadian National Pentathlon Team Champion, and you've won silver medals in both the Pan American Games and the Pan Pacific Pentathlon Championships.
That's pretty cool.
Thanks, man. That was a great time.
Yeah.
I was on the team from when I was 19 to 22, 23, and that's how I got into this business, because there's very little funding for athletes in Canada, and I'd gotten myself into a huge amount of personal debt, so I joined a little modeling talent agency, and the first audition that came along was for this period piece kids movie, and I could horseback ride, I could sword fight, I had the right look, and they took a big risk going with someone who had no experience, but they gave me the role, and off I went.
Wow. And that's really cool, too, because you're like, I'm like, dude, this guy's like a real-life athlete, too. That's pretty cool, man. So you did fencing and horseback riding, huh?
Yeah, and the other three sports are shooting, running, and swimming. So it's an old sort of European military sport, which I got into through being a young horseback rider in Canada. To the Pony Club, actually.
Very cool. That is really, really cool. So, do you know what's coming up in the third season?
Actually, I don't know for sure. All I know is that it's going to get a little darker.
Okay.
What's next?
And there's your son, too, because you're a father as well.
I am.
Yeah.
He's awesome. He's Skylar. He's 4, and we're building Lego.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's going to get darker. It's going to, We're going to explore more. I'm thinking we're going to, the first season was about Bo finding her mother, and I'm hoping that we kind of explore who her father is in the third season, but I'm not a writer, so I can't say.
Well, that's awesome. Well, Kris, we are all out of time, and we don't want to take any more of your time because we know spending time with your son is very, very important, and that's really important with us as well that we don't take up any more of your time.
Well, thanks, guys. It was a pleasure.
Well, thanks a lot. Folks, go out and watch Lost Girl on the SciFi channel. It is awesome. And thanks again, Kris Holden-Ried, for giving us a little chat with and talking about the show.
Thank you. My pleasure.
All right.
I will hopefully meet you guys for real someday.
I certainly hope so. All right, folks, we'll be back with more Slice of Sci-Fi right after this.
This is your brain. This is drugs. This is your brain on drugs. Any questions?
Self-destruct system activated.
Hey, Slicer, Sean from Edwards with more
news from Flight Test Land.
Close Air Support Edition. Edwards Air Force Base recently completed testing on a new targeting pod for the B-1 bomber that will allow it to, and I'm not kidding here folks, provide close air support to ground troops. That's right, B-1 bombers providing close air support to ground troops. Should be interesting to see how this works out, and I hope everything goes to the best. On the other end of the close air support spectrum, the counterinsurgency role is coming back. It was the counterinsurgency role, or COIN, was actually eliminated after the Vietnam War, and was replaced with the standard close air support role filled by the A-10 Thunderbolt. 2, the Warthog. It is now being brought back, and the current winner of the contract is the Embraer Super Tucano, a turboprop-powered two-seat trainer. However, Beech Raytheon, builders of the T-6B Texan, have their own attack version, the AT-6 Texan, and they are now suing the Air Force for breach of contract. Way to be the bigger folks there, Raytheon. Sean from Edwards out.
Yeah, nice.
Well, I mean,
interesting report. How on earth would you make that work without? I'm curious to see this one. I want to follow this.
You've seen the AC-130s, right?
Yes.
They have a freaking howitzer in a plane. I mean,
know, exactly. But the thing is, that has to be some accurate targeting to be doing you that close in your own troops.
Well, I mean, we've got
either that or they're expendable.
Well, we've got missiles that can literally fly through the vent of a building.
Yes.
And calculating that is actually a lot more difficult than calculating something moving at a mere 600 miles an hour.
Well, okay, that's true. Okay.
All right, troops, you're going to be testing this.
Nobody move.
Yeah, nobody move.
Anyway, thanks so much, Sean.
That's awesome.
It was interesting and informative as always. We appreciate your reports, and there's a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
A lot of times they make us go,
and we appreciate all of you folks that are out there listening to us and watching us as well. We didn't actually say a lot about that this week, but our video is really big. Our Facebook page is getting really big. Go show us some love over there. You can find us on YouTube. Our YouTube page is really big, and
and we're really big in Japan.
And yes, we are. I am really big in Japan.
Except for me, I'm big in Germany.
You are
really? Wow, it's kind of weird that way.
Fraulein.
Guten Morgen.
Yeah. Anyways, moving right along.
So we're kind of running out of topics.
That's okay.
Here.
I mean, lots of cool things come. Lost Girl, folks. Talking with Kris there. That
was so awesome.
Yeah, it was really cool, and he was a very, very cool dude to talk with, and was very patient with us when we had some technical difficulties. So really cool. Honestly, guys, if you've not watched Lost Girl, dude,
do yourself a favor and go
start watching it on SciFi channel because it is Awesome.
It's a little challenging if you're trying to DVR it and pre-record it, as we find out in the voicemail show. But it's worth the effort. It really is worth the effort. You really want to go out there and try and find it. So cool stuff.
Hopefully, we'll start talking to more of those people there since it's coming on Sci-Fi.
That's right.
I just saw the first two. I'm excited.
Coming up next is the voicemail show. So next
we don't have a voicemail
days,
show. We have a listener feedback show.
Listener feedback, but you can call the voicemail number at 206-339-TREK. That's 206-339-8735. Leave us something interesting. We'd love to hear from you. All right, that's going to do it. Talk to you later. Bye.